Well, hi everybody. It is Tuesday morning and I forgot something at my house today. So I'm coming at you a little bit differently right now. I'm actually recording on my cell phone. I do have an external camera that I use on my laptop over here. And guess what? Well, I was on a Zoom call yesterday and over the weekend, and I left the external camera at home. And my internal camera on the laptop simply stopped working, so that's what I use. So I got here this morning going, oh, gee, what am I gonna do? Fortunately, we all have cell phones, or most of us have cell phones with us, and there's a little camera feature on the cell phone. So we're trying that today. I hope that the sound quality and everything else comes out okay. If not, well, there's always tomorrow, right? Have you ever forgotten something? You ever forgot maybe where your keys are at in the house and you look for hours and it's like, I can't find my keys, right? Or a receipt that you need to take to the store to return something and you can't find it, and then you finally found it like in your back pocket. Yeah, I wear glasses to read, so I got these things all over the place. Well, sometimes I put them down and I can't find them, and then lo and behold, later on when I'm looking, they're right here. Actually, there's a pair here too, which I totally forgot about. Honestly, this is crazy. So anyway, we forget things, right? And that's just who we are. There's a lot of things going on in our lives and in our world, and sometimes it's easy to forget the small things. It really is. Sometimes we forget major things. Sometimes we forget birthdays and anniversaries and celebrations, and those are harder because there's some repercussions at the end of the day when we forget things like that. But sometimes we forget the big things. We forget God. Sometimes we forget Christ. Sometimes we forget that there's people out there who care about us as well. And I'm just wondering if that might be happening right now during this time of isolation. I think some of us might be feeling forgotten. I don't know who you are. It's probably all of us, I would assume, at some level. Maybe this person or this group isn't calling me as much as they maybe should have. I'm not getting connection with my family. The friends that I thought were out there aren't contacting me because you're dealing with a lot of stuff as well, right? So I think we perceive that people are forgetting us. It might just be that there's a lot of other things going on and they haven't forgotten you. But it feels like that, doesn't it? It definitely feels like that at times. Well, I just have some news for you this morning in that we are not alone in forgetting. If you remember a man named Moses, we read about him in the Old Testament, and he's called to free his people from bondage in Egypt. And he does so, right? He does so, and he leads the people out, and they cross an ocean that opens up wide, and they cross through it, and they get away from Pharaoh, and they're in the wilderness, right? And they're in the wilderness, and they're free people. But soon they forget. They forget what it was like as slaves. Because they begin to grumble. They grumble about everything. God provides manna from heaven to them, and they grumble because they forget that this is a gift from God, right? They said, we don't have any water to drink. And so Moses uses his staff and hits a rock, and boom, there's water welling up out of the ground. Water from God. Food, manna from God. And they forget where it came from, I believe. And they grumble. Well, this isn't good enough. We want something different, right? You don't want to eat the same thing every day. But you know what? It's a gift from God that sustains you forever. Yet we forget, I think, where it came from. And we start taking it for granted, and we want something different. Even when Moses went up to the mountain to talk to God again, right, at Mount Sinai, the people down below waited and waited, and I think they forgot really what Moses was doing. Moses went up to talk to God, and they forgot. So they made an idol for themselves. Let's worship our own way, they said. And look what happened with all of that. We forget. We forget about God in our lives. We forget about Jesus in our lives. Maybe things are going really good. Maybe things are going really bad. And maybe things are just going. And we forget to keep going to God. We get out of the habit of either going to worship, we get out of the habit of reading our Bibles, we get out of the habit of praying to God for everything, good and bad, that goes on in our lives every single day. And I think we tend to forget that there's a God out there, and we start doing everything on our own. We start trying to manipulate people around us to do things. We start trying to figure everything out on our own, and then we get all surprised when things don't go well. It's like, oh, well, did you talk to God? Well, no, I didn't talk to God about this. I didn't want to bother God with that. In essence, we just forgot to talk to God. When I get like that in my life, and it has happened during this pandemic, I got to be honest with you. I think we've all gone through some really hard times, and I've forgotten to go to God. I really have. But it's when I turn back and say, you know what? I really need your strength, God. I really need your guidance, Jesus. That's when things start coming together again, right? And I'm trying really hard to not forget Christ during all of this time. But I think sometimes with everything else happening again, we put him on a back burner and we forget. But you're not the only one. The people of Moses forgot about God a long time ago. Is it any surprise that we today sometimes forget about God as well? Not really, because we want to do everything ourselves, right? So today, I just want to invoke that really famous phrase, let go and let God. Okay, let God take control, right? Let God take control of your thoughts, but mostly remember God, remember Jesus, and remember the Holy Spirit. They're all there, the Trinity, waiting for us to respond. They're just waiting for us to respond and say, help me, help me, help me, because we need a lot of help. Because when we turn back and we remember, amazing things happen. Healing takes place. Comfort takes place. We know that we're not alone. We know that we are not forgotten either. So let us go out today and let us remember the God who made and loves each one of us as well. All right, well, I hope this helped a little bit today. Y'all take care. Have a great and amazing day and be safe out there. Bye-bye for now.